What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Burndown. Today's guest, we have the biggest ball breaker on Instagram and probably in the cigar community as a whole. So if you're into that, which we already know you are, stay tuned because it's the Burndown.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Burndown. I'm Justin. That's Eric. Today we have somebody who, he's a bit of a fucking asshole. I mean, I don't even want to interview him. You know what? Fuck this. Cut. I'm out. Cut. Just kidding. You guys know him as Tim Big Ash Rivard. Tim, welcome to the Burndown.
What's going on, fellas? Great to be on the Burndown.
Love it, baby.
Long time no see. I feel like I was supposed to see you guys recently. What was were we supposed to see each other for some type of event or something? Some little small thing?
Cigar,
little bit.
Just a little event that had a few thousand people, you know.
Yeah, a little get together.
You got
maybe in October. Maybe in October.
It better be in October.
I'm praying.
Man.
Because if they don't have Cigar Fest this year, 2020, then
what's even the point of being alive?
That's what I'm saying.
Seriously.
Right.
Seriously. It's I mean, that was like the icing on all of it because they had canceled,
right.
You know, they stopped NBA, and then I'm like, all right, I'm going to Vegas for March Madness, and then they canceled that. And then the next thing I said, all right, I got Cigar Fest, and then they fucking canceled that.
Yeah, because they came out and they said we're not going to cancel it. It doesn't matter. We'll make it work. And then I got an email from AJ Fernandez like a couple hours beforehand for their low release. And they said it's canceled. I'm like, oh, great.
Fucking, well, at least it got rescheduled. So
right.
So before we do the interview, we usually go around and say what we're smoking, but you already know what we're smoking because it was provided by you. So can you tell us about this cigar?
Oh, there it is.
Club 500, Viva La Vida.
There it is. The culmination, the big project. So today we're going to be smoking.
And I wore it just to match, so you like it.
Oh, nice. I was wondering why you were dressed like a Taliban terrorist, but there it is. There's a reason.
I said he looked like KGB with that track jacket.
Right. Well, if you guys ever, get bored and you want to become on an FBI watch list, Google Taliban like their recruitment videos, and they put the guys like in these Adidas tracksuits to convince kids that being the Taliban is cool. You get these sweet tracksuits.
What?
No way.
Yeah.
I don't want to wear tracksuits anymore.
Well, it's too late. You're a terrorist. Welcome to Al Qaeda.
So Tim, I broke this out.
What do we got?
The Viva La Vida ashtray that was gifted to me.
Oh, nice.
By Eric on Christmas. Had to break that out for today's smoke. So, can you tell us about this? Like, what is this? I've never seen the Club 500.
Right. So the Club 500, you guys might have remembered, you might have seen them floating around. You guys might even have them. At one point, we kind of did let me pull one up here. We kind of did like a family patch for the Viva brand. We had done a Club 500 patch, which is just the Artesano del Tobacco logo. And pretty much what that was we gave it out to stores, we gave it to distributors and stuff like that. And when you bought Viva La Vida, depending on what the shop wanted to do, they would give you the patch, and it would put you in kind of a small group, like a little club with organization. Because we did a big Instagram push. You guys saw a ton of social media. We did a lot of pre-releases with the cigar, the initial Viva La Vida, before the initial launch of it, just to get a feel and have the cigar family smoke it and everything like that. So this cigar, the Club 500, is in celebration of that. So it kind of memorializes the first 500 members / lounges that carry the Viva La Vida line. So it's the original blend, but it's a 6x60 box press. So you have that 10-year Habano Oscuro wrapper, the Corojo binder, 8-year, the 8-year Criollo, Nicaraguan filler, still Nicaraguan Puro. The only other difference that we did was that the wrapper went through a little bit of a secret fermentation process, so it got aged about 8 to 9 months longer. What that did was it brought some oils out, you know, that fructose, the lactose. We got it extra oily. You might not really be able to see in the camera. I don't know, Justin, if you want to push it up front a little bit, but it's got a little bit of a redder hue in the wrapper. You might be able to see. Kind of a little difficult for anyone who smoked it. You'll probably notice it. You probably don't really see it in the camera, but it's a great smoke. I'm not a huge gauge smoking cigar guy. I don't know what your guys' preference is. 60 I'm a little hesitant about, but that box press size really kind of brings it down a little bit more, and I think it's a great cigar. And I imagine you guys are going to enjoy it throughout the show.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not really a big girthy cigar smoker myself.
Yeah,
the box pressed makes it a little bit more appealing.
Right.
So this was to celebrate the first 500 stores that picked up the Artesano brand, or the Viva La Vida cigar specifically?
Well, the Viva La Vida, so the company is Artesano del Tobacco. Viva La Vida is our first blend through them. Well, for Artesano del Tobacco. So this represents the first 5 shops that carried, or 500 shops / 500 followers and smokers who kind of embraced the Viva La Vida line since its release back in March.
It's pretty
March
cool.
of 2019.
I like
Well,
it.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to smoke it because, I mean, as you know, we're big Viva La Vida fans, especially
Right.
the Lancero. That's one of my favorite Lanceros out there. So I'm excited to smoke this one. So thank you very much for providing this. And
Hey, not a problem.
now on to what we're going to drink.
Okay.
So I have my good old trusty Grand Marnier
All
that
right.
I'm actually hoping would pair pretty well with the spiciness of this, because you said this was a Nicaraguan Puro. So I'm assuming I'm going to get some pepper and some spice in here. So
Absolutely.
sweet and spicy, I'm hoping it's a good pairing.
Yeah, and then I just went with the old classic bourbon. I got a little bit of Jefferson's small batch here. So
Okay.
it's a strong cigar. It's a spicy cigar. I think it'll go well with this bourbon.
All right. I'm pretty much on board with at least Eric. I'm going with the Elijah Craig
Beautiful.
small batch. A lot of that oakiness, that sweet vanilla, a little bit of that cinnamon, which will definitely complement that spice, that typical AJ Fernandez pepper and spice that you will encounter throughout the smoke.
Love it.
So Tim, we would like to, first off, thank you very much for joining us on the Burn Down. And
Of course,
secondly,
thanks for having me.
Absolutely, you are a veteran, and we would like to thank you and appreciate, and we respect you for your service. So, Tim, here's to you.
Thank you for
Appreciate
your
it, guys.
service.
Fonte.
So that will lead me to my first question. So since you are a veteran, what branch of service of military did you serve, and what kind of guided you down that path?
So I served in the Army. I was in for just shy of about 12 years. I didn't come from a large military family. I mean, my grandfather is was a World War II veteran. And that was pretty much the end of the line. When it came to me, I actually used to be a chef back in the day. I was a pastry chef. I went to culinary school. I did the whole thing. And then I got burned out really quickly for really low money. So the next thing I wanted to get into was law enforcement. And, I was 22 years old. I had no background. I didn't know how to get into it. I didn't have a college degree that focused on it. So I needed some type of experience. So I went, signed up for the military, joined the Army, surprised my family, not in a positive way. And that was it. I for my job, I went into military police. So I did that for 12 years almost. Like my focus was, I spent some time as an investigator. I spent some time doing corrections and detainee operations, some combat operations, a couple of deployments. I went to Afghanistan. I went to Cuba for a year, which was shockingly worse than Afghanistan.
Really?
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, all around it was a great experience. A lot of my best cigar smoking was in the military. You know, it comes with the territory. You know, the camaraderie. It's no different than sitting in the lounge. No different than sitting outside with a 10-pound Kevlar helmet on your head and body armor and sweating your ass off.
It's funny.
Sitting in a circle, enjoying the cigar and just talking shit.
It's all about. And it's funny that you started to say that, because that was my next question following up was, you know, as you were in the Army and you're on your tours in Afghanistan and so on and so forth, you know, what was the feeling of being overseas and receiving cigars and like just actually smoking them after like a long day? Like, what would you compare it to?
Honestly, there's nothing to compare it to. I mean, you know, for a lot of people, cigar smoking is a therapy, it's a stress relief. You know, after a long day at work, after a long day at the house, you know, after a dinner or anything like that, it's great to just kind of sit back, have a cigar by yourself, or, you know, hang out with a couple of friends and have a cigar, or hang out with a couple of strangers and have a cigar. You know, when you're in the military, and especially when you're overseas, it's like, it's a lot of going from 0 to 100, like all day. And it takes a toll on you, having that adrenaline level, the testosterone pumping, and then just going to doing nothing. So you're wiped out at the end of the day. And having a cigar was great. Finding people with like interests, you know, you had people who you could consider them aficionados, and you had people who really had no background. They just wanted to be a part of the group. They just wanted to be in the moment. So they would just light up a cigar. Organizations like Cigars for Warriors, they were a huge help even back then. I mean, I was in Afghanistan in 2012. They would send us sticks. I used to love it because you get the bag first, because everyone's like, oh, you're a cigar guy. And you go through it and you'd be like, oh, you know, like, I'll just take a couple of the crappy ones. And you're like digging through for like the few guys who threw in some like Drew Estates and the AJs and like the Padrones and stuff like that. You're like, I'll just take a couple of these crappy ones and then like hand it off to guys. You guys take these ones. And they're getting like the Casa Cubas and the whatevers, the no-name gas station cigars and stuff like that.
The Swisher Sweets that were thrown in there.
Right, Billy Blunts, like, you know, some asshole who threw like some Black and Milds in or something like that.
Some White Owls or whatever.
Acids, you know, whatever.
Well, it's actually it's interesting that, you know, to hear you talk about how it was just such a great time to have a cigar at the end of the day, because your levels are going like all over the place. So at the end, when you can relax and actually have a cigar. One of the books that I'm in the process of reading that Eric has already read was I think it's, what is it called? The Cigar Book, the Ultimate Cigar Book or something like that. And one of the first couple of pages, they have a picture of a bunch of guys in the Army, and there's a box of cigars, and they're just handing out, and you can see it, all of them are like, this one guy's got the box, and they're all surrounded like, well, come on, give me one.
Come on,
they're all
on.
looking, waiting, like anxious to get their cigar because of what it gives you, like the feeling it gives you at the end of the day. Sit down, relax. And for that half an hour or 45 minutes or an hour, however long it takes you to smoke, you don't have to really worry about anything.
Exactly.
So one of the questions we wanted to ask you was, we know that you are a brand ambassador for AJ Fernandez Artesano del Tobacco. How did you get into that? Like, how are you one for both of them? Did you start with one and then the other one brought you in? Like, what was your avenue into becoming a brand ambassador for two companies?
Right. So here's the secret, and this is what everyone should just do, and because it worked out perfectly for me. I got into the Instagram thing with cigars end of 2016, early 17. That's where we all met. We started off as these tiny little accounts. In a sense, I'm responsible for the fixation with matchsticks with Eric. I apologize for anyone who's tired of seeing them.
That was like
So-
your first post, I think. Was
That's like my first good post. Like
Yeah.
you got your crappy posts, but like my first good post, I actually remember it was it was an Altadas collaboration. It was a Monty by Monte Cristo, AJ Fernandez. I just dumped some ash sticks around it. I did some color manipulation, so it was a black and white, but the red of the matchsticks and the band, kind of overemphasize them. Right now, it probably is a horrible picture in comparison to what I do and what we do. And
I remember that picture vividly.
It got like 50
I know exactly
likes.
the one you're talking about.
Like 50 likes, or so whatever the hell it was. So I posted it. I've been smoking AJ Fernandez for a while. I've been smoking even before, before he started doing his house blend. Because when AJ started or Abdel started, he was a blender and he was a tobacco farmer, and that was it. So he made cigars for everybody else except really himself. And a lot of those brands people familiarize with him, but they don't actually belong to him. You're talking about the Man of Wars, the Ava Marie's, the Diesel, things like that. And so I started smoking the house blends, his originals, the San Lantanos, the New Worlds. I was posting pictures. I had reached out to AJ Fernandez and kind of had said, this is the 2017, 16 landscape. Like, there wasn't social media really for cigars. It wasn't popular, as you guys remember. So I said, hey, are you guys like looking for, brand reps or whatever? Even the concept, the term influencer, I don't even think existed yet. And Frank Santos, who's the director of sales and management, pretty much came back and said, no. We're not interested.
Shot down.
Right. So reach out to these people and ask them. They're going to probably tell you no. And as soon as they tell you no, the best approach is to just act like they had told you yes. So from that point moving forward, I kept posting, AJ Fernandez, tagging them up. My portfolio was getting better. My following was getting larger. And I was getting more popular, and so they started to take notice, and I started meeting, people involved in the company, cigar reps, things like that. And we kind of just had gotten to a point where we didn't ever talk about it again. We never really said, oh, you're an ambassador, you're an influencer, you're whatever. It's just kind of like, hey, you're part of the team, you're part of the company. Like, you work here, kind of. So I always jokingly call myself, especially when you reference AJ Fernandez, is like, I'm an intern. I'm like a 4-year intern. So from there, Billy and Gus, who own Artesano del Tobacco, they're big on social media. You see them all over the place. They created Viva La Vida. They spent, I'm sure you guys have been there, the New York Cigar Inns. They're now Casa de Monte Cristos. They're both in Manhattan. They had owned those for 25 years. They sold them to Imperial, who then named them the Casa de Monte Cristo. It still has the New York Cigar Inn though logo. And they pretty much they'd been talking to AJ Fernandez. He was blending their cigars. They met the people, so they kind of had heard of me. They had reached out to me. We had talked for a while. The launch had happened in March, and they were distributing on their own. They were their own cigar reps. They didn't have reps. So Billy messaged me. He said, hey, can I get your phone number? I want to call you, and I want to talk to you about something. I said, oh, okay. He called me and said, hey, would you be interested in being a cigar rep? I was like, hell no.
Yeah.
I have a really high paying, job in the federal government. Like, I'm not going to stop what I'm doing to like go beg cigar shops to buy cigars for a living. He said, well, I love you. I love what you do on social media. Your sense of humor, everything like that. You're recommended by AJ Fernandez, the company. Seriously, anything. you want to have 3 accounts, you want to have 80 accounts. So I'll let you do whatever you want. So I molded it over for a little bit. I said, fine, I'll do it. So May of 2019, I came on board as a cigar rep covering Pennsylvania and then some other randoms. Because the brand is a brick and mortar brand. We don't sell online. Our collaborations, they can sell online because they own it. We talk about luxury cigar clubs, Lancero. Right. We talk about the box press for Famous and the box press for Atlantic Cigar Company. They own it. They can do whatever they want with it. So they can sell online. But we are a strictly brick and mortar company because they're shop guys. They want to keep the brand in the stores, in the small shops, because they know what it's like to get crushed by the big box companies. The online retailers who get the deals, they get the discounts from the distributing companies so they can sell for less. So they know what it's like. So that's where they want to stick with it, because they were cigar shop owners. They want to keep it in-house. They want people to come to the stores. They want to see it on the shelves. They want them to buy it there, experience it, support the local brick and mortars. So that's, for now, and as far as we're concerned in the near future, that's how it's going to stay. So I got on board as a cigar rep, and I did that for a long time. And then AJ came forward and he said, listen, the Viva La Vida, it fits the portfolio of my house blends. I would love to distribute for you. So they got on board with that, because how could you not? He's got international distributors. He's got cigar reps all over the country. I mean, I'm a guy I was taking time, like, on my off time to try to sell cigars to shops. Like, I'm not the ideal cigar rep. So.
Yeah, I remember I've like on Long Island, I've walked into a few smaller brick and mortar stores and they have big signs with Viva La Vida. And I'm like, oh, you guys hold Viva La Vida. And they're like, yeah, we love it. We're excited. Right. And I'm like, oh, wow. And it didn't really dawn on me until you really talked about it, because I've been to we have our one big spot on Long Island, Matador, and I don't think they carry Viva La Vida yet, but
no, not yet.
Probably all the small spots, they have like the big signs. They have all the cigars in them. I'm like, oh wow.
Yeah.
It's a pretty interesting approach.
Branded the hell out of it. Signs, and apparel, and everything.
So Tim, so you went from basically saying you were trying to say, hey, can I just promote you guys on Instagram, whatever, and they said no. You did it anyway, and then they came to you later and said, hey, do you want to be a cigar rep? You're like, no, I'm not leaving my ridiculously paying job to just to take like 1/6 of a pay cut to start promoting cigars or selling cigars. But they're like, whatever, doing it. So then after being a rep, then you transition into being what's known as a brand ambassador.
Correct.
So what actually is a brand ambassador? Like, what do you do as a brand ambassador?
You just represent the company and the brand. On social media, I'm also Artisano Tim. And that account focuses completely on the Viva La Vida, future brands that are planned to roll out. We already have names. We already have art. They're already copyrighted. So there will be future blends coming out through the Artisano Del Tobacco line. So I'll be representing them. I work events. I do social media. I do whether it's my own social media, whether it's content production for them or for myself. I'm just kind of all over the place. And I do the same thing for AJ Fernandez. Local events I'm typically at. You guys saw me. We met at Cigar Fest last year. Yeah. I worked the booth. This year, I'll be back there again for every day. That's pretty much what a brand ambassador does. It's pretty much what we all do anyway.
So you basically you kind of just you're promoting the brand, right? You're
right.
You're doing your own thing. You're not really listening. You don't have a boss or nothing. They're just saying, hey, you're going to represent us, so make it a good representation. Just promote us, promote the shit of us. And they probably reach out to you and say, hey, would you like to do this event? And you're like, yes or no, or if I can or I can't, right?
Yeah, and we all have great relationships. we talk regularly. We talk about, we talked about this, so this will be a big push for them, the show, when this does air. So yeah, so we communicate regularly, but yeah, my job is pretty much to just distribute the brand to the masses.
Right.
Yeah.
So an add-on question would be, what are your favorite cigars from each company? So what's your favorite cigar from AJ, and what's your favorite cigar from Artesano del Tobacco?
Well,
tough question, I know, but
I know
you are a brand
Well,
ambassador, so
Artesano-
you've smoked them all.
right. There's literally not a single blend that I don't own at this time, sitting in my humidor right now. One of my favorites, one of my go-tos all the time, is the New World Pure Especial. Nicaraguan Habano wrapper, Nicaraguan, filler and binder, another Nicaraguan Puro. It's pretty much just straight AJ Fernandez. You get that pepper and that spice, medium plus body. It's got a great price point, so it's an easy to go to cigar every day. And you can buy it in a Churchill or a Gordo for $6, $7. It's a great price, everyday premium cigar. I guess my other go-to for AJ Fernandez, and I kind of always treated it like my baby, was the Bellas Artes, the Maduro. In 2018, I did a social media takeover for AJ Fernandez.
Yeah.
For the push for the release of the Bellas Artes when it had just come out. So I did the photos and the videography and everything for the cigar for when it first came out. Since then, it's flourished. This year, the Robusto was Cigar Journal Cigar of the Year, and it's my favorite profile. It's that Brazilian Matafina bind wrapper, so it's dark, it's toothy. You got that Mexican San Andreas binder, which is just packed with pepper. Which I love
that binder. Love that.
I love it.
Yeah.
And then you got that Nicaraguan filler. So it's another great Puro by AJ Fernandez. Just all around, it's a well balanced, just great cigar. And it's clear why it got #1 with Cigar Journal. We won't even talk about Cigar Aficionado, because anyone who knows the rules on how you win Cigar of the Year with Cigar Aficionado.
Yep. And there's nothing like, we don't knock against anybody. There's nothing against Cigar Aficionado. They're a great magazine,
Right.
but there's certain guidelines. Each magazine has their own guidelines as to how you become #1. So if you want to make it
Right.
at Cigar Aficionado, you should cater your cigars to that guideline, right?
Right.
But
I gotta say, last time we smoked Vida on the burn down, we did an ash contest. I mean, and this ash is pretty damn strong right here. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Oh,
But,
yeah.
that
I
bad boy.
ditched mine a little while ago. I wasn't gonna have no rookie move. Not with Tim here. He would never let me live that down, man.
Never let you live that down.
Well, I mean, speaking of that, I mean, to go off cigars a little bit, because you're putting on more of your professional AJ Fernandez Viva La Vida brand ambassador mode. What
I know.
We really want to know, Justin and I, because we feel like you break the most balls with us. But how did you become such a ball breaker? Because I feel like 99% of our conversations are just being sarcastic and busting each other's balls.
Yeah, there's so many things involved in being a good ball buster. Whether it is emotional childhood abuse, whether it is the type of industry you're in. I was military. I'm law enforcement. You got a bunch of alpha males who all have complexes, and the only way that you're going to stay out of the spotlight is by being the spotlight.
I love that quote. That's a new quote. The only way you're going to stay out of the spotlight is you're going to be the spotlight.
That's right. You like that?
Boom.
Because, I mean, not really until everyone in the cigar community is really nice. Everyone's, always appreciative. But there's only a handful of people that, I mean, you're obviously a nice guy, but there's not too many people that I come across that are just constantly breaking balls, busting chops. And I'm like, we need more people like this because it's just a funny dynamic when like you and there's another guy, his name's like Cigar Aficionado CA. He's another cigar veteran.
Sean's a good buddy of mine, California aficionado.
There you go.
Me and him we spend all day doing two things: slaughtering each other and slaughtering everybody else. So like, I'll let anyone know right now, if you put a post up and especially for people who have like business accounts where you can kind of see the insights, if you see that somebody has hit that little flying arrow thing, that's sending a message, at least one of those little things, you might have like 5 or 6 icons. One of them is either me or Sean sending it to each other to talk shit on you.
Let's see. I love it because for one, it's like, so like you said, you're an Army brat, and you've earned the right to bust balls. And another thing is what I like about you too is that we bust each other's balls back and forth. I mean, we've done it at Cigar Fest. We're doing it right here, and you're just taking it like a champ and firing right back. And that's one of the things I love is that if you want to give it, you got to be able to take it too.
Absolutely.
And you certainly do. And it's just bounce off each other. Eric and I do the same thing when we're back and forth. We're busting each other's balls. It's just you just laugh at each other. You're just laughing at yourself. You're laughing at each other. You're having a good time. That's what it's all about.
Well, at the end of the day, it's a testament of love. If I'm ball busting you and we're talking shit, we're having good communication, it's because I like you. If you're gonna send me a message and I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, hey, thanks, whatever, like that's kind of the end of it. And I don't mean that for all of you because I do get a lot of messages. It kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah.
Probably means I just don't give a shit, or we just don't have a good relationship. We're not really jiving or anything like that. So
we're not really there yet.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We'll get
It's
there.
like what's
you just
that,
gotta put the effort out.
What's that show? What's that cartoon from the 90s, right? What is it? Hey Arnold? Or what's her name?
Right.
The only reason she busts his balls and picks on every single day is because she likes
Olga secretly loves Arnold.
Right? What do they teach you in
Football head.
kindergarten? If the girl's picking on you or if the guy's picking on the girl, it's because they like him.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my father, Justin, knows because he works with him. My dad is one of the biggest ball breakers there are. And bringing my friends around growing up and girlfriends and my girlfriend even now still, they're like, your dad's kind of intimidating, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, listen, that's his way of like expressing love. Because if he's not busting your chops, making a sarcastic joke or anything like that, that's a problem. Because my dad busts everybody's balls. And when he's not busting your chops, that's when you need to get out of my house and leave.
I'm trying to remember. One of you brought was it your uncle or your dad with you to Cigar Fest?
That was my father. But
okay.
I don't know, was he there? Was my father there last year?
Yes.
He was.
I think so.
No.
He was in Germany last year playing he was in Ireland playing golf. You met some of his buddies, like his high school friends at home.
Right.
Yeah,
they were having a good time. Some of them look like they're all there laughing so hard.
All those guys are ball breakers.
Right. You should see it. Like when we're all sitting around, because we all rent a house. Whenever we go, we rent a house with like 10, 12 guys. And we're all just sitting there drinking, smoking cigars, just busting each other's balls. And it is hilarious. It is a great time.
How many guys do you have coming with you this year to Cigar Fest? A majority of them coming or not really?
Well, it's about, right now it's 8 confirmed. And then it goes up and down as we get closer because some people say yes, and then it gets really close and they drop out. Some people are like, I'm not really sure. And then it gets closer, like, hey, my weekend freed up. Can I come? And sometimes they come and they don't go to the fest. They'll just come for the weekend to hang out. So when we go to the festival, they go to the casino. So sometimes some guys do that. But we usually have about 10, give or take a few guys.
Well, honestly, that's the best part anyway. For anyone who hasn't been to Cigar Fest before, it's an experience. When you go in there, it's just a cattle shoot of getting cigars. They just litter the whole place with like things that they would just assume like macho men would be interested in. It's just like half-dressed women and cars and Rocky Patel running around with his shirt off.
It's a man's hang.
Right.
It's an ultimate man cave. Like
it's every stigma. Every stigma that comes with cigars is at that festival.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah.
You got rock music playing in the background with like 80s hits and stuff like that. So if you've been more than once, you've kind of gotten the experience in, and you know that the best thing to do is just get in, get your cigars, and get the hell out. Because when you go out in the parking lot, it's like a NASCAR event. I mean, there's like hundreds, if not thousands, of trailers and tents and barbecues and just drinking, and just like, it doesn't even matter. Like you go walk from point A to point B, and someone's going to offer you a cigar. People are going to offer you drinks. They're going to offer you food. Like it's just like the world's worst family reunion. Just a bunch of degenerates.
All right, so we're back. We took our little break. I had to cut the story short, but what I was saying was that what we like about Cigar Fest is that we get to meet people that we've been talking to on the gram for X amount of years, right? Like we were talking to you for probably 1 to 2 years prior to that, and all of a sudden we meet you and we bump into you in between cars in a parking lot.
Right.
And it's like, I feel like I know you. I feel like we're friends already because we've been talking to each other on the gram, and then now we get to see each other in person. And that's the beautiful thing about it is most of the people that are really cigar people, and they're not just trying to flex on the gram, most of them that are actually cigar people will show up to those big events, and then you get to meet them in person.
Yeah.
Right.
I always try to explain it to people. It's like an adult Halloween because you got your goodie bag and you're just walking around getting your cigars and putting them in your bag, getting your cigars and putting them in your bag. I mean,
put them in your bag, hand the ticket over, shove the stick in your bag, move on because the line is huge and they will crush you.
It's crazy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I remember the first time I went, I was like nowhere near the involvement of cigars that I was in until now, and I am now. So I walked in, I'm like, holy crap, this is super overwhelming. I have no idea what I'm doing. I was like, I hope I can fit in around here.
Well, when you go in, it's an absolute overload because they line everyone up outside. People line up for like an hour or so plus, and they send you in, and you go through that first tent, and it's like that's when they hit you with all the Cigar Fest swag. You get your bag, you're shoving T-shirts and ashtrays and whatever other dumb crap they can shove in there. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I made it. It's fine. And then you go into the main event, and it's kind of like just this high vaulted hotel ceiling. There's music playing. There's just people all over the place. You're seeing like all of these big name cigar blenders who you've seen, on the gram or on social media or, in Cigar Aficionado magazine. And it's just all in your face. And you don't get time to process because there's someone behind you shoving you,
Just keep going. Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
Exactly. Like don't take the time to stop. I enjoyed because you're behind the table. When you're working there, you're behind the table, and it's just kind of like you're trying to make eye contact, but you're like grabbing tickets and you're handing cigars out. I love just grabbing a handful of fucking cigars and just like going out in the middle of the mayhem and just being like, oh, you come into booth 522, whatever the hell it was, oh yeah, good, I got you set right here. Here's your last year we did the La Gran Llave, here it is, let me get that ticket, rip it up and just kind of like have at least a basic interaction. But it's a great time. It's a long ass day, but it is a great time. When it's over, you can go out, and that's like when the real party begins, when you go outside.
Definitely. So let me ask you this. So since we're in the conversation of cigar community, what is I want some of your sarcasm to come out of here, but
okay.
What's one of your favorite things that you love about the cigar community, and what's one thing that you don't really kind of like that's kind of annoying? It's
with the cigar community, the best thing about it, and it's probably the same generic ass answer you get from everybody, because it's true, and that's why it's generic, and that's why everyone gives it. It's just that camaraderie. Like, you can walk into a cigar lounge and you can sit down by yourself, and anyone who's within earshot is going to talk to you, and whether it's something you're wearing, whether it's what you're smoking, what you're drinking, and it starts there. And then an hour and a half later, the time flies by and you're leaving, and you know everything about this guy. And as you guys have talked about before, it doesn't matter what your background is. It doesn't matter what social class you fall under or anything like that. Whether you're a construction worker, whether you're a business executive, or anything in the middle, you all have the same thing in common. You're all there for the same reason. That's the best part about it.
It's so true.
The worst part, I couldn't tell you. When you go to a cigar lounge, there's really no worst part about it. The worst part about it is probably like the social media aspect of it. Like, you got all these different ranges of people. You got guys who literally just, and girls and everyone else in between, who create accounts and they get into social media because they want that lounge experience to continue. And for the most part, that'll happen. You'll make friends on there. You'll talk to people that in any other walk of life you would never have met them. And then you have people that like being an Instagram model wasn't working out for them, so they had to pick a new avenue, and they went with like cigar model or something like that. That's guys and girls.
We call them skinfluencers.
Right. You got your skinfluencers, and you're kind of like, oh. And listen, if they get into it, if they start off with the wrong reason to get into it, and they build off of it, and they become actual, whatever, sisters of the leaf, or boys of the leaf, or men of the leaf, or whatever of the leaves, that's great. You just got another brother or sister, somebody who enjoys it. And if it just continues to just be this skinfluence thing or something like that, it's kind of like, all right, well, hopefully you vanish eventually. Yeah. Eventually, hopefully you get so overrun by just creepy people in your messaging and stuff like that, you're kind of like, this just isn't even worth it anymore.
I that's what I always say. Like, being a skinfluencer, whatever you want to say, is okay, but just don't. If that's your only way of doing it, like, if you got the image, by all means, flaunt it. But if you're only going to go just solely on image and not provide any other value or bring any other aspects, right, then it's kind of like, people are going to view you one way, guys or girls. You know what I'm saying? Like, we try to be, and so in yourself, you try to be, as malleable, if you want to say, or as you want to be. You don't want to just be known for one thing. Like, I could be known for just taking pictures, and Justin can be known for dressing nicely, but we do a podcast.
Oh, isn't that what you guys are known for?
Well, one thing, though. One thing. We got a podcast, and we try to, inform and, bring some kind of education and just put some positivity out there. So as long as you're trying to produce multiple avenues, there's no shame in the game.
Right. And your podcast is a great concept. And honestly, the quarantine might have been the worst thing you guys think happened to you, because, like, you're not in the studio together and you're not filming anything together. But the quarantine is exactly what you guys created your podcast for. That lounge experience. People can put you on, they can throw you up on your phone or the car or the laptop. And they can sit back and they can have a cigar. And that's pretty much what they're talking about. What you guys are talking about is what they're interested in. We're not going to sit here and you're going to make me uncomfortable and feel stupid because, like, you want to ask about, like, the aging process, or, like, what type of leaves, like, went into it, or, stuff like that, which is what a majority of cigar smokers are interested in. Like, for a lot of these people, it's a relaxation process. It's nothing more than that. Like, sure, they learn over time, what goes into rolling a cigar, what notes you're gonna pick up from certain leaves and stuff like that. But they're not like sitting down and hunkering down and going online and researching and everything like that, because that's not why they got into cigar smoking. They got into it for just sitting down and having a smoke with friends, and that's it. So it's a great concept. And when the quarantine happened, a lot of people their escape was the cigar lounge, and that was gone. And now you guys are the escape. You're still the same thing you were before, and you're a place for them to sit down and watch and, be a part of. So honestly, the quarantine might have been the best thing that ever happened to you, because you're giving them what they were looking for.
And that's where we kind of were going with this. We discussed, like, all right, how can we come out of this quarantine better? How can we use this time being home all the time better? And, we did like 2 episodes on Zoom, and, like, we can do episodes like this, just Justin and I, but there's not that same element. We're not in front of, like, we're not together. We can't have that same chemistry. So me personally, I was like, watching myself on Zoom, I'm like, there's real no like factor about it. There's real no like differentiation. So Justin and I would collaborate. We're like, why don't we just start interviewing people, that are in the community that are like cigars. They don't even have to be a cigar person on Instagram. Just people who like cigars, and just so people can get to know the people they follow and interact with every single day, because we don't really see that anywhere else.
Yeah, and I mean, and you hit it on the nail on the head, Tim, is that's exactly what we're trying to do. Is we want people that are watching and listening to be able to light up a cigar and feel like they're sitting there with us, just having a conversation. And exactly what we're doing right now, just because we're not sitting next to each other in a lounge doesn't mean we don't have the same feeling. Like, yeah, I'm sitting at my house, Tim, you're sitting at your house, Eric's at his house, and we're all enjoying a cigar and having a conversation, the same as if we were in a lounge next to each other. And that's the kind of feeling that we're giving. And it's a beautiful thing that, we're super blessed to be able to do this with technology, right? Like, I have my cell phone. I think you have your cell phone. Eric got his laptop. There's no wires connected whatsoever. It's except for the power cord. But other than that, it's just information being sent to a satellite and then sent back to your phone. And it's just amazing that we can do that. So we figured, like Eric said, we collaborated and say, we talked about it and say, hey, listen, let's try to continue this feel. How can we do that? Let's interview people that enjoy cigars. Let's bring that experience just over the digital platform. So that's what we're trying to do. And we hope that everybody enjoys it. So,
Well,
so
that's what
I have a couple other questions. I know we're kind of running a little bit long here. But I have like a few quick questions that you could probably answer really quick. One being, I've seen your pictures, and I've seen you pair cigars with pretty much everything, whether it be beer, whether it be whiskey. I mean, I've even seen you pair it with Red Bull. I mean, what out of all of those combinations, what is your favorite pairing?
I mean, obviously it's Red Bull, right? That's what everyone goes for.
If it's not,
then
I don't know.
No, Red Bull is a terrible pairing for anyone who was wondering. It's an awful pairing. Red Bull is just what gets you by when you get up at 3 a.m. for work and you get home at 7 p.m. I'm a big bourbon guy. I like it simple. I like it neat. I also like it, I love, old fashions, anything like that. Yeah, exactly. I know you're going to be into that, Justin. But
that's my favorite drink. So,
but most of the time I keep it simple, just because I don't feel like making it. Like that's my go-to pairing. I do drink beer occasionally. It's not usually my go-to, and it's not because of like, oh, I think beer is a terrible pairing or anything like that. I just, I've had way too many military experimental drugs. The lining of my stomach is gone. So I drink too much beer. It's too weedy, and then I always want to spend the rest of the day nauseous. So I stick with the bourbons. because especially for my palate, I smoke a lot of AJ Fernandez. In case anyone hasn't figured it out yet. So, you know, with the spice and the pepper and everything like that, you know, the bourbon goes great with it, because it balances it out. It's a little bit sweeter. You know, you have the vanillas and the oakiness and stuff like that, which goes great with it. That's about it.
So
it'd
be bourbon. So it'd be bourbon, just straight up bourbon.
Straight up bourbon is it. Just straight. No ice.
I love it.
Nothing crazy. Just
I love
a glass and bourbon. If I'm feeling crazy, I'll throw some ice in, but rarely feeling that crazy.
It's sometimes that's the whole epitome of a cigar. You know, it's just simple, so you don't have to make it complicated. You know what I mean? But
exactly.
So you're in law enforcement. Are you a military cop or are you a police officer? Or is there a difference, or is that worded different?
I mean, yes. Like your difference as far as military is, you're exercising on a completely different thing. You fall under the uniform military code of justice and stuff like that. I'm not in the military anymore, so I don't do that. It's the craziest thing on earth, UCMJ, because it's like super archaic, and it's like one of those things where like it's one of those jobs and stuff like that where you could get in trouble for things that you would never get in a regular world. Like you could get thrown out and stuff like that for just not being good at work. Like, could you imagine in the civilian world if like you just weren't good at sales or something like that, and they're like, oh well, you're not only are you bad at sales, and you know, like, we're gonna give you a bad review, but also like we're gonna take half of your pay for 45 days, and then when it's all said and done, we're gonna then just, you know, pretty much fire you.
Oh my.
Yeah, and then you can't go work in sales ever again.
Yeah, pretty much. And then we're gonna give you this horrible stain of a record that you're gonna carry with you for the rest of your life, where like all the benefits that you had earned are now you're no longer eligible for, and you can't get in, you can't work sales or whatever your background is ever again. You can't own a firearm or whatever you want to do. You can't be a teacher or something like that.
Yeah.
So my background now is federal law enforcement. So it's the same thing as civilian law enforcement, stuff like that, except that my background and my work is on the federal side of things, not your state or local municipality. Even though you can exercise and you can obviously enforce state level law, your focus is more on the federal side of it.
So being a federal police officer, because I've seen you post a few times in your uniform smoking a cigar, you know, what's the experience like smoking a cigar being on the job?
Well, obviously it's the most badass thing on the earth, right? I mean, you got a cigar in your mouth, you got a gun, right? You know, you got the uniform. Like,
stop right there. You got a cigar in your mouth and you got a gun in your holster.
But what more could you ask badass for? Exactly, right. Hashtag badass. So, and really, it's honestly the same thing as the military. Going back to that, the job is not live PD. It's not cops all day long. Like, cops in live PD would not be entertaining if it followed the other 11 and a half hours of your day where you just like sat in a car and contemplated your existence, you know? Like,
yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, because both of my brother-in-laws are NYPD, and they say the same thing. It's like you have your shift, whatever it is, 12 hours. He goes, and 1 hour of it will be exciting, and then the other you're just sitting in a car waiting for something to happen. Now, granted, for them in New York, when it was not a lockdown, there was a lot more that was going on, but
yeah, of course,
still,
right. But still, you had a majority of your day in a lull. Then you did like, you know, like, oh, I just stopped this car and there's like 500 pounds of heroin in it or whatever. Like, it's not like that happens like nonstop. Like every car you stop, it's like, oh, more drugs or more crime or whatever. It's just kind of like more basic citations, like, hey, get your light fixed. So yeah, so my background and my work, it usually involves federal property. So where our jurisdiction typically covers, I mean, our jurisdiction is kind of all over the place. I mean, at the end of the day, the federal government oversees the entire country, but our focus is typically on where you work. Like I work in Old City, Philadelphia, so if you're in my area, it's like you're at the Constitution Center or the Liberty Bell, or like anything like that. So that's just my area of work. So it's mostly just basic petty drugs and stuff like that, and vehicle violations and stuff. So it's not the craziest work on earth, but eventually you got to move away from the crazy work and just focus more on the relaxed / making an unbelievable amount of money work. So that's kind of where I'm at now.
I tell people,
I'm sure. I know you guys are both in sales, and you probably didn't start in sales. You probably started on the other end of it, and eventually you don't want to turn a wrench anymore or something like that. You'd rather sit comfortably in an office, or now sit at home and do your work at a laptop with a cigar in your hand and the phone nearby. And it might not be as glamorous, but
hey,
more than pays
I
the
don't
bills.
care. If I'd rather take the sitting at home with a cigar and a laptop, and it's not as glamorous, and you make twice as much versus busting your ass and
just hustling to like make commission and stuff like that. Right.
No, I'm with you. So, I mean, I know we're kind of running out of time here. We're probably approaching the hour mark, but I had two questions that I'm going to basically combine into one. And so one of the questions was, I've seen that you have an extensive collection of cigars on your Instagram. I mean, anything and everything you posted through AJ and Artisano, and like you said, you have every single flavor and every blend that they've come out with in your humidor at home. So on top of that is, how big is your collection really? Like, obviously, you probably have other cigars other than Artisano Del Tobacco and AJ. So how big is your collection? And then the second part of that is, of that collection, do you have certain cigars that you're saving for special occasions, like a single cigar that's saying, hey, I'm not smoking this until this happens, and this is going to be the celebratory cigar for that?
As far as my collection goes, I'm not a massive hoarder of cigars, so I'm not in the thousands range. I would say at any given time, I probably have 200 to 250 cigars in my humidors, and even right now. So I have maybe that, and right now I probably have like 60 plus cigars in transit. They're on their way from somewhere else, something like that. Because and like you guys, like I'm outside of Philadelphia. You guys are in New York. We have winter 9 months out of the year. We don't have enjoyable outdoor weather. So I slow down how much I smoke during the off season, as we'll call it, or the winter. And in the summer, it's bananas. Like I'm smoking, 3 to 5 cigars a day. So you're just ripping through them. So right now, I can comfortably probably say somewhere between 250 and 300 cigars I have in my collection right now. As far as like cigars that I'm just saving forever, I don't have a ton of them, because like it's hard, especially when you get older and you hit all these milestones, to like find a milestone where you're kind of like, I'm saving the cigar for when I die. Like, what the hell else are you saving cigars for? Like
you're like, fuck it, I'm smoking it now.
Exactly. Like if I'm gonna, so I did bring out 2 cigars today for that sake, just to kind of talk about. I'll talk about the first one just because like I'm gonna get the least amount of shit for it. And that is, so I have this, and it's old. I mean, it's like, that like that what do they call it? The yellow cello.
AJ. The cellophane is a little tinted right now.
Exactly, which is great. It's the most beautiful thing on earth. You just see that just yellow, old as shit, plastic around it. So I have something that's called the AJ Fernandez My Blend. I have literally no idea what it is. A friend of mine gave it to me a couple of years ago. I've had it, keep it at the bottom of the humidor where it's just aging like crazy. And my plan for it is to, when this is all over, this whole pandemic thing, we get another vaccine for people to ignore. I'm gonna take it to Nicaragua with me to go to Tabacalera Fernandez and ask AJ, like, what is this thing? And he's probably gonna be like, I have no idea. I made that 10 years ago and I have no fucking clue what it is.
Yeah, he's gonna be like, that was like a
out.
weekend experiment. I blended it, threw it in a
he's
cellophane.
Like, oh, that's my that's my everyday smoke. It's got this ugly, hideous band on it that was clearly not made by their Switzerland company that makes them. It was made by like maybe someone in Nicaragua, like just some art student or something like that. So I've been hanging on to that one. And then my other one, I got a friend of mine. He's been in pretty much every aspect of the cigar game. He owned a shop with his family for years, and then they sold it. He worked for a major box store brand company. I won't name any names, so we won't figure out who he is. And now he's a cigar rep for a company. And he gave me two, and I smoked one that pissed me off because like I'm like the anti-Fuente guy, you know? Like everyone knows it. Every Friday, it's Fernandez Friday for me. And all the Fuente guys come out and they bust balls, or they think they bust balls, but they're soft, so they don't. So they, oh, happy Fernandez or Fuente Friday, they say, and they flex their opuses that they've owned for the last 5 years, and they've refused to smoke for good pictures or whatever. So my other one is, so I have this Fuente Anejo, the Reserva Dehi, which is, this one specifically is from a box from 2001. So this is an almost 20-year-old cigar.
Wow.
I smoked one.
Yeah.
I smoked one a couple of weeks ago, and I posted it. And the reason I say it pissed me off is because, like, ever since, and you guys know, because you're definitely the biggest victims I've seen of it, the Instagram algorithm, which just, like, for guys like us who have been in the game for a couple of years, the algorithm has gradually pulled us away from our following. They don't see us anymore.
Yeah.
So we all went from, we were the 1,000 like guys to like the 600 like guys to the 200 like guys. We've had to kind of reinvent ourselves and get new following to kind of get ourselves back up. So I smoked this one a couple of weeks ago, and it's the first cigar I've gotten 1,000+ likes on in, who the hell knows, a year plus. And of course it's a Fuente. I really have no actual anything against Fuente other than I just love to bash the Fuente guys, and I love to bash the Fuente Friday guys and the Opus guys and stuff like that. So it's my last one. I honestly, I don't have anything lined up for when I'm going to smoke it. For all I know, I might give it away, to be honest.
You should just hold on. You should just hold on to it just to annoy all the Fuente lovers out there. Like, hey, listen, I got this 20-year-old Fuente, and I'm not even smoking it. I'm gonna dangle it over the boat and maybe drop it in the ocean if I feel like it. And who knows what I'm gonna do?
When I even smoked the last one, I thought about making almost a fake video where I just set it on fire, and just said like Happy Fuente Friday or whatever. Just burned it, like didn't even smoke it. Just they could just watch it burn away in an ashtray, which obviously I can't do because
like
you can't do.
You should have done. You should have done a video. You should take a video where you take the cigar, you're setting up to smoke it. You say you're teaching people, all right, this is how to properly light a cigar. I have this cigar that I've held for 20 years, whatever it is. And you say, okay, you're sitting by the fire and you go, listen, you torch it, you get it nice and toasted, right? And that's how you get it warmed up. And then to finish off the lighting, you fucking throw it in the fucking flame.
Well,
and just burn the shit.
Fuente fire. Fuente fire.
You guys had Cigar Boss Man on a couple of weeks ago. I could literally just do what he did. Just light it up, and be like, fuck this shit, and throw it into a river. He was golfing. He just threw it into a pond. Like, fuck this. And then light up an AJ.
I love it. I love it. So, I mean, I think we're probably coming to the end. I have one last thing that I want to say. I don't know if Eric's got another question. Do you have any other questions, Eric?
The floor is yours, my friend.
Okay, so this is the last thing that I want to say to you before we end it, and that's I mean, I've been wanting to say this for a while. I was waiting.
Oh, shit.
Eric told me that you were going to be on the show. When he said he booked you, I was like, all right, I've been waiting to say this, and I'm going to say it live. Well, not live, but recorded on the show. And it's been really like, I've been thinking about how I was going to say it. I'm like, all right, I can't say it this way. I got to say it this way. So I've been really focusing on it and trying to come up with the proper words to really get across what I wanted to say. So basically, fuck you.
That's perfect.
That's how I pretty much figured out.
You know what?
how to
I don't
get
even
across.
understand what I have done to instigate this. I've been nothing but supportive since day one. I sat at work and I watched 14 episodes of your horrible fucking show in a row. I had to dream about you guys and all this other crap. You're just going to say fuck you to me. Unbelievable.
Welcome to the burn down.
Right. This is why I'm going to just stick to Cigar Talk Radio.
Could have been any better.
Well, listen, Tim, it has been a pleasure talking with you, my friend. Thank you again for joining us on the burn down, and thank you again for your service. We appreciate it very much from the bottom of our heart. We respect you to the utmost, and cheers to you, my friend. Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, Tim,
Oh,
thank
please.
you for being on, and appreciate your service as always.
And guys, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. To the 8 people that actually watch this show and the 10 narcissists who watch it, just hoping that there's a name drop or some shit like that. Thanks for watching and thanks for having me. And ultimately, because of when this comes out, happy Fernandez Friday. Cheers.
There it is.
Cheers.